Aircraft materials and processes. This I am going to discuss with the second book, as all books are necessary for the DGCA AME license exam as well as EASA module. So from the second book I am going to start with the structural metals. Knowledge and understanding of the uses, strength, limitation and other characteristic of structural material is vital to properly construct and maintain any equipment, especially airframes. In aircraft maintenance and repair, even a slight deviation from design specification or the substitution of inferior materials may result in the loss of both lives and equipment. The use of unsuitable materials can easily erase the finest craftsmanship. The selection of the correct materials for a specific repair job demands familiarity with the most common physical properties of various metals. Now, what are the properties of metals? Of primary concern in aircraft maintenance are such general properties of metals and their alloys as hardness, malleability, ductility, elasticity, toughness, density, brittleness, feasibility, conductivity, contraction and expansion and so forth. These terms are explained to establish a basis for further discussion of structural metals. Explanation of these terms. What does hardness means? Hardness refers to the ability of a metal to resist abrasion, penetration, cutting action or permanent distortion. Hardness may be increased by cold working the metal, and in the case of steel, and certain aluminum alloys by heat treatment. Structural parts are often formed from metals in their soft state and are then heat treated to harden them so that the finished shape will be retained. Hardness and strength are closely associated properties of metal. Now, second property which I am going to discuss is brittleness. Brittleness is the property of a metal which allows little bending or deformation without shattering. A brittle metal is apt to break or crack without change of shape. Because structural metals are often subjected to shock loads, brittleness is not a very desirable property. Cast iron, cast aluminum and very hard steel are examples of brittle metals. A metal which can be hammered, rolled or pressed into various shapes without cracking, breaking or having some other detrimental effect is said to be malleable. This is the third property, malleability. This property is necessary in sheet metal that is worked into curved shape, such as cowling, fairings and wingtips. Copper is an example of a malleable metal. Now, ductility. Ductility is the property of a metal which permits it to be permanently drawn, bent or twisted into various shapes without breaking. This property is essential for metals used in making wire and tubing. Ductile metals are greatly preferred for aircraft use because of the ease of forming and resistance to failure under shock loads. For this reason, aluminum alloys are used for cowl rings, fuselage and wing skin, and formed or extruded parts such as ribs, spars and bulkheads. Chrome molybdenum steel is also usually formed into desired shape. Ductility is similar to malleability. Elasticity is that property which enables a metal to return to its original shape when the force which causes the change of shape is removed. This property is extremely valuable because it would be highly undesirable to have a part permanently distorted after an applied load was removed. Each metal has a point known as the elastic limit, beyond which it cannot be loaded without causing permanent distortion. In aircraft construction, members and parts are designed that the maximum loads to which they are subjected will not stress them beyond their elastic limit. This desirable property is present in spring steel. Now, the next property is toughness. A material which possesses toughness will withstand tearing and shearing and may be stretched or otherwise deformed without breaking. Toughness is a desirable property in aircraft metals. Now, next comes density. Density is the weight of a unit volume of a material. In aircraft work, the specified weight of a material per cubic inch is preferred, since this figure can be used in determining the weight of a part before actual manufacture. Density is an important consideration when choosing a material to be used in the design of a part, in order to maintain the proper weight and balance of the aircraft. Now, next is feasibility. Feasibility is the ability of a metal to become liquid by the application of heat. Metals are fused in welding. Steel fuse around 2600 degree Fahrenheit and aluminum alloys at approximately 1100 degree Fahrenheit. Then come conductivity. Conductivity is the property which enables a metal to carry heat or electricity. The heat conductivity of a metal is especially important in welding because it governs the amount of heat that will require for proper fusion. Conductivity of the metal to a certain extent determine the type of jig to be used to control expansion and contraction. In aircraft, electrical conductivity must also be considered in conjunction with bonding to eliminate radio interference. Now, contraction and expansion. The contraction and expansion are reactions produced in metal as well as the result of heating or cooling. Heat applied to a metal will cause it to expand or become larger. Cooling and heating affect the design of welding jigs, casting, and tolerances necessary for hot rolled material. Now, what are the selection factors which is necessary for the aircraft metal to be used? Now, the strength, weight, and reliability are the three factors which determine the requirement to be met by any material used in airframe construction and repair. Airframe must be strong and yet as light in weight as possible. There are very definite limits to which increases in strength can be accompanied by increase in weight. An airframe so heavy that it could not support a few hundred pounds of additional weight would be of little use. All metal, in addition to having a good strength by weight ratio, must be thoroughly reliable, thus minimizing the possibility of dangerous and unexpected failures. In addition to these general properties, the material selected for a definite application must possess a specific qualities suitable for the purpose. The material that possesses the strength required by the dimensions, weight, and use. There are 5 basic general stresses which metals may be required to withstand. There are tension, compression, shear, welding, and torsion. The tensile strength of a material is a resistance to a force which tends to pull it apart. Tensile strength is measured in pounds per square inch and is calculated by dividing the load in pounds required to pull the material apart by its cross-sectional area in square inches. The compression strength of a material is its resistance to a crushing force, which is the opposite of tensile strength. Compression strength is also measured in pounds per square inch. When a piece of metal is cut, the material is subjected as it comes in contact with the cutting edge to a force known as shear. Shear is the tendency of the part of parallel members to slide in opposite directions. It is like placing a cord or thread between the blade of a pair of scissors. The shear strength is the shear force in pounds per square inch, that is P dot S dot I, all are in small form, at which a material fails. It is a load divided by the shear area. Bending can be described as the deflection of curving of a member due to forces acting upon it. The bending strength of material is the resistance it offers to deflecting forces. Now, what is torsion? Torsion is a twisting force. Such action would occur in a member fixed at one end and twisted at the other. The torsional strength of material is the resistance to twisting. Relationship between the strength of a material and its weight per cubic inch expressed as a ratio known as strength by weight ratio. This ratio forms the basis for comparing the desirability of various materials for use in airframe construction and repair. Neither strength nor weight alone can be used as a means of raw comparison. In some applications, such as the skin of monocoque structures, thickness is more important than strength, and in the instance the material will the lightest weight for a given thickness or gauge is best. Thickness or bulk is necessary to prevent buckling or damage caused by careless handling. Now comes this property is very much important. This is corrosion. Corrosion is the eating away or pitting of the surface or the internal structure of metals. Because of the thin section and the safety factor used in aircraft design and constructions, it would be dangerous to select a material possessing poor corrosion resistant characteristic. Another significant factor to consider in maintenance and repair is the ability of a material to be formed, bent or machined to required shape. The hardening of metal by cold working or forming a term work hardening. If a piece of a metal is formed in brackets shaped or bent while cold, it is said to be cold worked. Practically all the work an aviation mechanic does on metals is cold work. While this is convenient, it causes the metal to become harder and more brittle. If the metal is cold worked too much, that is, if it is bent back and forth or hammered at the same place too often, it will crack or break. Usually, the more malleable and ductile a metal is, the more cold working it can stand. Any process which involves controlled heating and cooling of metal to develop certain desirable characteristics in brackets such as hardness, softness, ductility, tensile strength, or refined grain structure is called heat treatment or heat treating. With steel, the term heat treating has a broad meaning and includes such processes as annealing, normalizing, hardening, and tempering. In the heat treatment of aluminum alloys, only two processes are included. The first is the hardening and toughening process, and number two is the softening process. The hardening and toughening process is called heat treating and the softening process is called annealing. Aircraft materials are subjected to both shock and fatigue, that is in bracket vibrational stresses. Fatigue occurs in materials which are exposed to frequent reversals of loading and repeatedly applied loads. If the fatigue limit is reached to or exceeded, repeated vibration or bending will ultimately cause a minute crack to occur at the weakest point. As vibration or bending continues, the crack lengthens until the part completely fails. This is termed shock and fatigue failure. The resistance to this condition is known as shock and fatigue resistance. It is essential that material used for critical parts be resistant to these stresses. Metalworking processes in detail. There are three methods of metalworking. Number one is hot working, number two is cold working, and number three is extruding. The method used will depend on the metal involved and the part required. Although in some instances both hot and cold working methods may be used to make a single part. Now, hot working. What is hot working? Almost all steel is hot worked from the ingot and some form from which it is either hot or cold worked to the finished shape. When an ingot is stripped from its mold, its surface is solid, but the interior is still molten. The ingot is then placed in a soaking pit which retards loss of heat, and the molten interior is still molten. The ingot is then placed in a soaking pit which retards loss of heat, and the molten interior gradually solidifies. After soaking, the temperature is equalized throughout the ingot. Then it is reduced to intermediate size by rolling, making it more readily handled. The rolled shape is called a bloom when its sectional dimensions are 6 into 6 inches or larger and approximately square. The section is called a billet when it is approximately square and less than 6 into 6 inches. Rectangular section which have a width greater than twice their thickness are called slabs. The slab is an intermediate shape from which sheets are rolled. Bloom, billets or slabs are heated above the critical range and rolled into a variety of shapes of uniform cross section. The more common of these rolled shapes are sheet, bars, channels, angles, I-beams and the like. As will be discussed later in this chapter, hot rolled material is frequently finished by cold rolling or drawing to obtain accurate finish dimension and a bright smooth surface. Complicated sections which cannot be rolled or sections of which only a small quantity is required are usually forged. Forging of steel is mechanical working at temperature above the critical range to shape the metal as desired. Forging is done either by pressing or hammering the heated steel until the desired shape is obtained. Pressing is used when the parts to be forged are large and heavy. This process also replaces hammering when high-grade steel is required. Since a press is slow acting, its force is uniformly transmitted into the center of the section, thus affecting the interior grain structure as well as the exterior to give the best possible structure throughout. Hammering can be used only on relatively small pieces. Since hammering transmits its force almost instantly, its effect is limited to a small depth. Thus, it is necessary to use a very heavy hammer or to subject the part to repeated blows to ensure complete working of the section. If the force applied is too weak to reach the center, the finished force surface will be concave. If the center was properly worked, the surface will be convex or bulged. The advantage of hammering is that the operator has control over both the amount of pressure applied and the finishing temperature and is able to produce small parts of the highest grade. This type of forging is usually referred to as smith forging. It is used extensively where only a small number of parts are needed. Considerable machining time and material are saved when a part is smith forged into approximately the finished shape. Steel is often harder than necessary and too brittle, and for most practical uses when put under severe internal stresses. To relieve such a strain and reduce brittleness, it is tempered after being hardened. These consist of heating the steel in a furnace to a specified temperature and then cooling it in air or water or a special solution Temper condition refers to the condition of metals or metal alloys with respect to hardness or toughness. Rolling, hammering, or bending these alloys or heat treating and aging them causes them become tougher and harder. At times these alloys become too hard for forming and have to be reheat treated and annealed. Metals are annealed to relieve internal stresses, soften the metal, make it more ductile and refine the grain structure. Annealing consists of heating the metal to a prescribed temperature, holding it there for a specified length of time and then cooling the metal back to room temperature. To produce maximum softness, the metal must be cooled very slowly. Some metals must be furnace cooled, others may be cooled in air. Now, what is normalizing? Normalizing applies to iron-based metals only. Normalizing consists of heating part to the proper temperature, holding it at that temperature until is uniformly heated and then cooling it in still air. Normalizing is used to relieve stresses in metals. Now, cold working. Cold working applies to mechanical working preferred at temperatures below the critical range. It results in a strain hardening of the metal. In fact, the metal often becomes so hard that it is difficult to continue the forming process without softening the metal by annealing. Since the errors attending shrinkage are eliminated in cold working, a much more compact and better metal is obtained. The strength and hardness as well as the elastic limit are increased, but the ductility decreases. Since this makes the metal more brittle, it must be heated from time to time during certain operations to remove the undesirable effect of the working. While there are several cold working processes, the two which the aviation mechanics will be principally concerned are cold rolling and cold drawing. This process gives the metal desirable qualities which cannot be obtained by the hot working. Cold rolling usually refers to the working of metals at room temperature. In this operation, the materials that have been rolled to approximate sizes are pickled to remove the scale, after which they are passed through chilled finishing rolls. This gives a smooth surface and also brings the pieces to accurate dimensions. The principal forms of cold rolled stocks are sheets, bars and rods. Cold drawings is used in making seamless tubing, wire, streamline, tie rods and other forms of stock. Wire is made from hot rolled rods of various diameters. These rods are pickled in acid to remove scale, dipped in lime water, and then dried in a steam room where they remain until ready for drying. The lime coating adhering to the metal serves as a lubricant during the drying operation. The size of the rod used for drying depends upon the diameter wanted in the finished wire. To reduce the rod to the desired size, it is drawn cold through a die. One end of the rod is filled or hammered to a point and slipped through the die opening. Here it is gripped by the jaws of the drawing block and pulled through the die. This series of operation is done by a mechanism known as draw bench. In order to reduce the rod gradually to the desired size, it is necessary to draw the wire through successively smaller dies, because each of these drawings reduces the ductility of the wire. It must be annealed from time to time before further drawings can be accomplished. Although cold working reduces the ductility, it increases the tensile strength of the wire. In making seamless steel aircraft tubing, the tubing is cold drawn through a ring-shaped die with a mandrel or metal wire inside the tubing to support it while the drawing operations are being performed. This forces the metal to flow between the die and the mandrel and affords a means of controlling the wall thickness and the inside and outside diameters. Now, extruding. The extruding process involves the forcing of a metal through an opening in a die, thus causing the metal to take the shape of the die opening. Some metals such as lead, tin and aluminum may be extruded cold, but generally metals are heated before the operation is begun. The principal advantage of the extrusion process is the flexibility. Aluminum, because of its workability and other favorable properties, can be economically extruded to more intricate shapes and larger sizes that is practicable with many other metals. Extruded shapes are produced in very simple as well as extremely complex sections. In this process, a cylinder of aluminum, for instance, is heated to 750 degree Fahrenheit to 850 degree Fahrenheit and is then forced through the opening of a die by hydraulic ram. The opening is the shape desired for the cross section of the finished extrusion. Many structural parts such as channels, angles, T-section and the Z sections are formed by the extrusion process. See, my making of the video is that from the different books consulting of the same materials of the same materials not of the same matter, is that every book is required to clear the modules or the AME exams, and many students does not have all books at a time. So my video will help them to get every books concerned in my video. So it will be very less necessary to purchase every books and go through it. It is read through line by line, and I will give every support of every books line by line to my students going through my video.